For those of you who still struggle swinging over the top and can't get the club to shallow out, this sequence of drills is going to be a life changer for you, because it's not difficult to shallow out the club, but if you don't understand what's really causing it, it's very difficult to figure out what's going on and why you keep slicing it and pulling it and all these things. To shallow out the club properly, I've got a sequence of movements that I'm going to show you how to do both with the club and without a club that are going to help you feel for the first time, maybe ever, what it feels like to come from the inside and release the club properly and start hitting a controlled, powerful draw every single shot. So at first, we don't need a golf club as usual. We're going to start with just baby body movements. It's all about what the body's doing, and then we worry about the club. So the key here is first, as you're coming down, that transition video that I did, the RSA video of just working on shifting this move, this shallow out the club move does not work until you shift your body correctly by working through those transition movements. So if you're shifting and getting your body to move correctly and your shoulders are staying back, then this is gonna be a piece of cake. If you're still turning your shoulders and head and all that stuff, you gotta go back to the transition drill, because you can't shallow out the club without a proper transition. But once you have the transition down, now what I'm gonna start focusing in on is keeping my shoulders shut and bringing my arms down into impact. And I wanna pay attention to where my body movements or where my body positions are and what path my hands are taking. And this is important. If you swing over the top, you tend to do this, and the hands take a path way out over the plane and then across the ball and right to left. When you swing correctly, and especially if you swing over the top, you're gonna swear to me that you're swinging this way. It's gonna feel horrible at first, but it's different, and that's just something you're gonna have to get used to. So as we're going back, I'm doing my transition move. You see both knees are flexing, I'm starting to post up. And now I want my hands to stay in front of my chest and only work down. This is the key. Now, in the real swing, everything, my shoulders would be turning a lot faster because my hips would be moving quicker. But when we're going slow, I can get the feeling of my hands just working vertically down while still working on my hip movement in transition. As I do that, my hands are obviously not coming over the top. If anything, they'd be coming too far from the inside. So what I want to do now is I want to take my right hand off and do the same movement and let my hand release into out. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So you're going back, transition drill, hand swings out that way. Now, when you're swinging left hand only, it's really easy to swing way out to the right, which is a great exaggeration for this drill if you come over the top and can't shallow out the club. So feeling that your hand drops down by your knee, or from your perspective, it looks like it's in line with it, and then releases out to the right, is the feeling that you want here. You don't want this. If your shoulders are open at any point doing this drill, stop and go back and look at what you're doing. Your shoulders, notice that when I release the club, or pretend to release the club doing my transition drill, as my hand drops down to my knee and out to the right, look where my chest is pointing. It's square or only slightly open because my arm momentum pulled it open. I'm definitely not looking out this way. There's nothing to see out there. So once I get this feeling of the hands dropping down and releasing out to the right, which feels a little bit awkward at first, then everything's starting to work correctly. Now with my right hand, I'm gonna do my right hand only, like with a throw the ball drill. As I come down, my right elbow does the same thing. It comes down to my hip and releases out to the right and turns over, like trying to put top spin on a ping pong shot. So transition drill, right elbow down, release. All I'm doing is trying to get the feeling of the club coming from the inside and shallowing out. Now, with the club in my hands, do the same thing, really slow. Notice if I just focus on my transition in the left hand only, the weight of the club makes my hand want to travel that path we just worked on. So as I go back and I just do this, look where my hand is. Now the club's too far from the inside. Don't worry about that yet. That's a good problem for us who are swinging over the top, and release out to the right. So my path is technically going to be a little bit too far out to the right. That's okay. You're swinging over the top right now. This is a good problem. So just a little bit out to the right. And now I'm starting to let it release with some speed. If you're still struggling with getting your shoulders square, go really slow, stop at impact and check. Are my hips a little bit open? Are my shoulders square? Still looking down at the ball? And did my hands drop down? This is the key. If you're used to doing this and turning your shoulders and pushing from that right side, This move is gonna feel very bizarre, but it's gonna feel awesome once you learn how aggressively you can release the club when you're coming from the inside. So you can do this 5-10 minutes a day, feeling that the hand drops while you work on your transition. Little transition pump drill. My hand comes down to the knee, swings out to the right. Right hand with the club, same thing. Transition drill, I'm just kind of pumping, working my hips. That's bringing my hand down. And now, same thing. As I release the club, notice that my arm is releasing, not my shoulders. My arm just lets the club go. It's a natural, effortless release, just like throwing a ball. And because my weight shift and transition is working together, I can get it to come from the inside. Now, same drill, but we're gonna have both hands on the club. A little pump drill, I'm working on my weight shift, working on my lower body movement. Now let the right hand come off before impact. This is key because you're gonna feel how throwing that club creates a lot of speed without you working your body hard at all. This doesn't take any effort for me. I'm just getting the same feeling of my hands dropping down to my knee. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, of course, but that's the idea. And then releasing and slowly start keeping that right hand on there a little bit longer. This drill will get you, if you do it in a mirror and you start paying attention to what the club's doing, your hands will be coming down on plane, dropping the club from the inside, and you'll start hitting a powerful draw on every shot.